ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another tech review. Today we're going to be looking at the iPhone 4S. Now this thing is ancient. It was released in October of 2011. Therefore, at the time of this recording, it is approaching 9 years of age. And so it's an old phone, and it's definitely outdated, but we're going to see just what it's like to be using this in 2020, about 9 years later. So let's go ahead and get started here today. First, here on the back, you can see we do have the white model, and I don't know if you can see it really well. I can there. You can see a scratch here. That's a scratch, not a crack. There are no cracks in this. It's in pretty good condition. Just some scratches on the back, nothing really on the front at all. You can see here the Apple logo. It's not centered completely in the phone like the newest models. It's centered as far as the width goes, but not completely in the phone. And also the iPhone text down here and all the regulations designed by Apple in California. Gives the model number and such. And then up here we have the camera, and there's no microphone here between the camera and the flashes we're used to, but I believe it uses the top or the bottom one in recording. But nevertheless, then if you look here on the side, you have the old, outdated, but they are considering bringing it back in the iPhone 12, the metal frame, the metal band that goes around the phone. You can see here we have our SIM card tray. Up on top we have the power key. Now on the newer models it's on the side here on the right hand side, but from the iPhone all the way up to the iPhone 5S it was placed on top, and even on the SE, the first generation SE, the power key was placed on top. And then the headphone jack up on top. This is a really outdated style because even when they kept the headphone jack in the last phones to have a headphone jack, they put it down here, down by the lightning, and the mic up here. As well as you can see here, the volume buttons are round instead of the straight ones that we see now to streamline it more with the phone. We have the super old round volume buttons with the plus and minus icons on them to indicate, just in case you didn't figure it out, which one was which. And then you see the traditional ringer switch here. But I will say though that the ringer switch doesn't work anymore, sadly. When I replaced the battery, I don't think something quite lined up right in the phone, and then it tore the ribbon cable for the ringer switch. The buttons still work just fine, as you can see here, but the ringer switch no longer works. So the nice thing about that though is I can flip it back and forth, because this is a very satisfying switch. In case you didn't know, I can flip it back and forth to my heart's desire and not have to worry about breaking it. So it's already broken. I kind of do wish it wasn't broken, because otherwise I wouldn't have to have this annoying assistive touch menu to unmute and mute my ringer, but it is what it is. Also on the bottom, as I showed you before here, we have of course, the speaker and microphone unit here on the left and right, but we have the giant 30-pin cable connector here at the charging port. How many of you remember this thing? This is possibly the most annoying charging port. Here, I'll put this down. Let me go get my charger for this. This is possibly the most annoying charger. It was huge. Look at the size of this thing. So you have the USB thing. It's wider than the USB side. And it broke super easily because of how big it was. This part down here became easily shorted out. The wire casing would first get worn away, and then the wire would be showing, and then it would eventually short out the plug completely to where you couldn't use your charger. That was super annoying, and it only goes one way as well. That's why they put that little line on there for, because if you try to do it the other way, yeah, not happening. But you put it in like this, goes right in. Now I will say though that one thing that's nice about this is, even with I believe this is the original power brick that came with it, the 5-watt. Even with the original, using the 30-pin with this, the original, now this is not the original cord, by the way. This is the original power brick, I believe. Even using just the 5-watt, this thing charges super fast. I plugged it in at 30% one time, and I thought, oh, I came back an hour later, because I'm used to how fast my 6S charges, and I thought, oh, it's at 70 or 80%. I came back an hour later, and it was done. It was at 100%, and it was done charging. I'm like, man, that happened fast. So this thing, even with the standard connector and what we would consider today to be the slower power brick, this thing charges extremely fast using the 30-pin. So I will give it to Apple for that. But still, I'd rather use the Lightning and then buy a faster charger or something like that rather than use this big old thing because it's super inconvenient here. So you've probably seen it by now. I have this thing rubber banded up. I'm super OCD about my cords. The every cord, every charger that I have has to be rubber banded up or bound by a twisty tie. Maybe one day I'll swing my camera over to my cord drawer, as I call it, with all my chargers in it, but not today. So as you can see here, we're going to go ahead and get started here with looking at the actual phone. The assistive touch menu, because my ringer switch doesn't work, sad face. But you can see here we are, well, at the time of this recording, the latest software is iOS 13.5. We are not running iOS 13. We are not running iOS 12. We are not running iOS 11. We are not running iOS 10. We are running iOS 9.3.6. Look at this. I mean, it's still got the slide to unlock feature. Look how old and outdated that is. And it's super slow in unlocking as well. If you were to put in the passcode, there is no Touch ID, like I said before, at the home button here. There is no Touch ID in this phone, so you have to unlock with a passcode still, and that is super inconvenient for me. I have to come back and I'm like, oh, I gotta enter the code, because I'm used to the newer iPhones. I'm sitting here pushing the home button like 2,000 times trying to get it to unlock. I'm like, what's happening? I'm like, oh yeah, slide it, and then I gotta put in the code. I'm like, no fingerprint reader. This is super inconvenient. You slide up for the camera, you don't slide this way, you slide up. And look at our control center, man. You're basically stuck with this because there's no way of customizing it, at least not for my phone. There's no airdropping in this phone, by the way. There's no night shift, none of that. Even though the software is capable, I don't believe the hardware is. And so you can see all this here. We have our airplane mode, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, do not disturb, and portrait orientation lock, as well as our brightness slider, audio player, and the volume slider. Man, this is super. This is a throwback. As I say, and then we have the flashlight, the timer, the camera, and the calculator there, as well the notification bar. My goodness, look at this. You have your notifications over here, and then you have your today view. That's it. That's all you get. And this is super outdated now, as you know. The notification center looks exactly like the lock screen. You can see here spotlight search by swiping down here. And super outdated. Now, if you're looking for a phone with animations, with beautiful animations, this is the phone to go. You can literally watch every animation unfold before your eyes. And it's super slow. It's kind of annoying. But if you're looking for animations, this is the way to go. You can watch every app open from its icon and see every animation take place. That's about the one plus you get out of this phone. The one bonus that you get out of this phone. It's slow, but you get to watch all the beautiful animations. So I guess they had to throw something in there. The speed of it, as far as launching and just running it, is comparable to my Samsung tablet, which I'll bring over here in a moment. It's comparable to my Samsung tablet, which I'm going to bring here. I have a couple of the same apps. This is the 16 gigabyte model. Not going to get you really anywhere. I filled up the storage pretty much. I've only got a couple megabytes remaining. So it's not great, but the times were different back when that phone was released. So let's go ahead and try to launch something here. Let's try the Pinout here real quick. Pinout is a pinball game. I highly recommend it. It's super fun. Let's go ahead and launch in 3, 2, 1. And this one's sideways. So as you can see here, okay, obviously the tablet won. And this is actually lagging quite a bit behind, but it's more comparable to the tablet than it is to my iPhone 6s. The 6s outperforms both of these by a long shot, so it's definitely more comparable to this tablet. But considering this is a 2015 model, that is actually pretty good, and this is 2011, as I said already. So it's not a terrible phone. Oh, by the way, I will note that I did replace the battery in this. I have replaced the battery in this. I highly recommend it. Otherwise, before I change the battery, I could maybe pull out an hour or an hour and a half of usage before it died. And usually it died at like 30%, and so I'm like, this has got to stop. So about 2.5 years ago, actually, I changed the battery on it by myself, and the battery life is stupendous. I don't know what other word to use. It's incredible now. Much better if you're looking for a phone refresh. Of course, Apple did improve with their software updates their battery performance, but that is neither here nor there. So it like I said before, it's the A5 chip with 512 megabytes of RAM. You can't expect that. That's not acceptable in today's phone standards. You can't expect to get huge results out of it. But considering it's a 2011 phone, it's not terrible. You know, some people still use these things. Usually the elderly use these, but would I recommend upgrading from this phone? Absolutely, because the next phone up is where you get Touch ID, where you get your Lightning cable connector, and so yeah, I can't even screen record on this thing. I can screenshot, I can't screen record. But it's not a terrible phone. It's not horrible. It can shoot 1080p video, I believe, but would not buy it in 2020, obviously. But it's not a complete lemon, especially considering that it's about 9 years old. So that's gonna do it for today, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you did enjoy this video today. If you're new around here and you already haven't, please do not be a stranger. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to receive premium first-class content delivered straight to you. I would greatly appreciate that. Also, do leave a thumbs up on your way out. It's greatly appreciated for all my work that I put into this video. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you did enjoy today's video. Hope you have a great day. I hope that you have a great day. See you next time. Goodbye.